I wanted to get Jason Buttrill on with us. Jason is our chief researcher, and he is the guy who really went neck deep into Ukraine and our Ukraine special with Joe Biden. Nobody's checked in on it, but there's a couple of really big developments that happened yesterday in Ukraine that, you know, everybody else in the world is covering. But why would the American press cover this? Because it involves Joe Biden. Jason.
Thanks, Glenn. Wow, two huge stories that dropped within about 24 hours of each other. We'll get to more about that in a second. I think that is on purpose and not necessarily a good thing. But again, we'll get into that for a second. But the first story that dropped was that the prosecutor general that Biden had fired in the quid pro Joe was Victor Shokin, and he's been after justice for the longest time on this. In February, he went to the court and said, "Hey, I was mistreated by Joe Biden. They masked, to use a term that's out in the public now, Joe Biden's name in official court documents in Ukraine." Now, Ukrainian media has been all over this. We're reporting on it nonstop. Nobody over here has. But the judge in February of this year said that, yes, Joe Biden, it looks like he did a criminal act when he did the quid pro Joe. That was pretty much just swept under the rug. No one's heard about it. But the prosecutor general now, the current one, was supposed to investigate that and continue this. It's actual criminal investigation against Joe Biden in Ukraine. Well, the prosecutor general didn't do that.
Hang on. This is a really, really big deal. I want to make sure that you understand what he just said. It's a criminal investigation by their equivalent of our attorney general. So it's our bar, and it is all revolving around Joe Biden saying, "Hey, I told them, that they want the money." They got to fire this guy before I get on the airplane. And he said Obama knew all about it. And we've been telling you, no, he wasn't a bad attorney general, if you will. He was a good guy. He was just on to Burisma and the goings on of the Obama administration. And so they swept him out. But no charges were ever filed. No one ever had anything to accuse him of except for Joe Biden and apparently Barack Obama. Everyone in Ukraine saw this, as we on our research staff saw it, as a political move to protect Joe Biden, the United States, the corrupt people from the United States, and get rid of this guy and discredit him. Well, he wants his name back. And all of these things that have been hidden are now coming out. So, Jason, what happened the latest?
So now it came out that these official court documents finally did come out. They're trying to pressure the court, or the prosecutor general, saying, "Hey, continue this." The judge, ruled in the favor that you should investigate him. Continue that on. So that's the court documents that just got released. Now, literally, almost simultaneously, the audio tapes. Now, this is amazing, Glenn. Audio tapes between first in 2015. Audio tapes between John Kerry, phone conversation between him and the current Ukrainian president Petro Poroshenko. That leaked somehow. Now, that's an official encrypted call, either from the White House, the State Department, Air Force One, something like that. It's hard to tell. But that phone call leaked, and it was John Kerry basically saying, "Hey, Joe Biden's about to come down. He wants this prosecutor general Shokin fired." Now, there's a slew of other phone conversations. There's about 10 of them or so, all in all. But in those conversations, it's Joe Biden specifically saying, it sounds exactly like it's him. They haven't been verified, but it does sound authentic to me, of him saying, "I want this prosecutor general fired," and Petro Poroshenko eventually saying, "I'm doing this for you. I got him fired." Now, a lot of the people that are reporting on this, the Washington Post just reported on this, they're basically calling it a big nothing burger. They're leaving out a very, very important part of the phone call. Imagine that. It's
I know.
Amazing when you read it. They're like, "Hey, this is a nothing burger." But when you actually read through, and I've read all the transcripts, I've listened to the tape, there's one very specific part where, and this is a quote, Poroshenko says, "Despite the fact that we didn't have any corruption charges on him, we don't have any information about him doing something wrong, I asked him to resign. Now, none of the Western media is pointing that out when they're calling this a nothing burger. This is Petro Poroshenko saying, look, he didn't do anything wrong.
So he said that on the phone. He said that on the phone to John Kerry.
He said that to Joe Biden. He said this to Joe Biden because Joe Biden was like, hey, did you get that guy fired? And he's like, yes, I did. He did nothing wrong.
Do we have that on tape, or is that only a transcript?
We have that on tape. You can listen to Poroshenko say that specifically to Biden.
Okay, I want you to do me a favor. We got to cut that in the control room. I'm sorry, but I mean, I'm flying by the seat of my pants. I've been for 2 hours. I've been just trying to get my show prep back up. So could somebody in the control room cut that audio? Jason, make sure the control room has it. Cut those pieces of audio, and then we'll have you come back maybe next hour just for a few minutes to play that audio, because that is stunning. That's stunning.